Welcome to Patriarchy.com, where we help you become a more virtuous leader for your family. I'm Knowland, and on this channel, every day I'll be responding to every single one of your comments in video form and documenting our progress towards rebuilding the patriarchy and strengthening Western society one family at a time. If you've got a question you'd like me to answer, just pop it in the comments of this video and I'll get to it. Now, because this is the first video for this new channel, I'm actually going to begin with some questions from our private school community. So the first one comes from Cooper, a specific domestic leadership issue, video games and boys. And he's saying that my wife has always been against video games since they're a waste of time. They're strongly addictive, at least to some, and make boys men effeminate. I have allowed them in the home so long as they are being used temperately and other positive activities are being frequently engaged in, i.e. schoolwork, chores, sports, family time. A couple of my sons can play them and then put them away, but one seems to have an inordinate attachment. They are frequently on his mind. He wants to scroll through videos about them when he isn't playing them. He tries to sneak in time to play and frequently tries to find ways to get more video game time. I'm trying to find a balance. Play them once per month for several hours and put them away, but they still seem to trigger the addictive, manipulative behavior in him. I want to show prudent leadership here, and I don't want him to think that video games are good for him to play into his adulthood, especially given what I've seen in his attachment to them. So, I am considering getting rid of them entirely in my household. This will be a significant move, and some of the kids will be very sad. So I am weighing this out carefully. My hope, though, is that when my kids grow up, they will have seen my example of cutting out things that are disrupting our pursuit of virtue, and can hopefully do the same in their lives. Have you heard of others handling this effectively? Yes, many people have handled this effectively. And I want to say straight away that I don't think it would be smart for you to punish all the kids in your household just because this one kid is finding it difficult to play video games in a responsible, sensible way. That's not fair. It's unjust to tell everyone that they aren't allowed to have video games at all just because of one child's difficulties with them. In my opinion, it would be better to set specific limits for that one kid so that you're able to train him better. And he might also have to have 1 day a week of no video games at all, for example. Or he could have 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off, for example. You choose something that you think would help him to cultivate a bit more detachment. You haven't mentioned screen time at all here, but that would be a good thing to introduce. So put limits on all his devices so that he only has, let's say, 20 minutes a day on video games. You have to find out what a good starting point would be. I'm not sure what his habits are, but that would definitely be the way to do it. Focus on him in particular and his difficulties. Don't punish everyone else for what his problems are, because they're just going to resent them. Now, is it true that video games necessarily make boys or men effeminate? No, the Catholic Church doesn't teach that. I think they certainly do often cause marriage problems when grown men are extremely interested in video games. However, there's no rule against playing them, so I don't think it'd be wise for you to have a rule against them either. For this particular kid, I would really make sure that they are a reward for other activities. So you might focus on the amount of time he spends studying and agree a particular ratio on study game to video game time. You have to make sure that you track that accurately, obviously, but there are plenty of devices that can do it. Okay, next question comes from Chris. Should we be teaching our wives gratitude or let it occur naturally as we provide more? If the former, what are effective means? I'm asking this not in context of own need for validation, but rather authentic concern for wife's holiness. The simple answer is yes, we should be cultivating gratitude in ourselves and modeling it to everyone around us. We should be teaching everyone gratitude. Now, for this particular example, you have assumed that providing more is going to make her more grateful. I'm not sure that's true. So if we look at the model of the family and the Holy Family, St. Joseph and Our Lady Mary, they lived a life of hardship and poverty. So providing more isn't necessarily going to mean more gratitude. Instead, gratitude is about appreciation for what you already have. Now, I really model leading by example and showing just through little moments of appreciation, first of all, with what she does in the home, right? Show that you're grateful for her, you modeling to her how grateful you are for everything you already have. Oftentimes, actually, providing more can spoil people. You see this with children who have everything but aren't grateful for anything. So decouple those two ideas in your mind and think about how you can show gratitude for the things in your life right now. The next thing is notice the kinds of things that she most often is ungrateful for or resentful about, because being a mum and being a wife is really hard. There are lots of challenges. And the next time she is complaining about any of those things or struggling with them, show her the good things about them and how, of course, anything hard is worthwhile. This applies to building wealth, building a business, even maintaining your health. It could be fitness, whatever you like. Anything hard is worthwhile. So you must reframe the things that could easily become opportunities for just complaining and whining. Reframe those as opportunities for cultivating gratitude. Super good question, I think. Really important point. We have to teach everyone gratitude. We model it by doing it ourselves first. And with your wife, who is closest to you in one flesh union of the sacrament of marriage, you've got a particular duty to model that to her and teach her it as well. Evan asks, for his current situation, tips and reminders on shrew taming. He's referring there to Shakespeare's play, The Taming of the Shrew, where we have a feminist and bitter character who's being led out of her feminism. How to prudently handle the give and take of a healing marriage with masculine warmth. I like Tim Gordon's point that not every snag is symptomatic, just part of everyday human nature. Sometimes it is symptomatic, especially with years of water under the bridge. Knowing the difference and having according plans is something I want to improve in. For my past self, red alert warnings about the kind of man needed to lead a marriage. We are potentially saving our families, but what of the millions of guys in their 20s and 30s indoctrinated in feminism who are about to repeat every mistake in the book? Well, two questions there. First one, how to handle the give and take of a healing marriage with masculine warmth. I think recognizing that marriage is always going to be a give and take, and that there's a sense in which, because of original sin, we are all always healing our entire lives. So as far as the shrew taming goes, don't expect it to ever be over. And you also have the old Adam in you too, that you are constantly having to tame. So this isn't something that you see mainly in your wife. It's something you see in the two of you that is a long process. And just that simple concept of this isn't going to be over anytime soon. This is going to persist until we die and beyond in purgatory as well, often is the best way to actually become more masculine in your approach to it. Aquinas talks about how with fortitude, endurance is the hardest part of it. And when men are expecting easy answers or quick fixes, they can become resentful when things don't go their way. They can become snappy. So make sure that you have that long game in mind and approach all the arguments, all the tensions and conflicts from that standpoint. You can also be charitable in how you approach her, because once you see that this is just embedded in fallen human nature, there's no need to take it so personally or overreact to it. Red alert warnings about the kind of man needed to lead a marriage. Well, I think the first thing is to do with not being passive, actually making an effort to be the leader in all areas. And that includes romantically too. So basic things like dates, asking how she is feeling, making sure that you put her above your children. Those are the kinds of things that are going to help a man establish a solid frame early on in his marriage that's going to really pay off big time for him later on. If we think about what Adam did in the garden with abdicating authority and being too passive, not leading Eve properly, then that's really the thing we have to watch out for most of all. That's the biggest red flag. And that is actually what most guys do who get themselves into serious marriage problems. They have weak boundaries, don't see themselves seriously as leaders. Their wives don't either. And because nature abhors a vacuum, including power vacuums in relationships, when the man abdicates authority, the woman steps in to fill it. And then we get an inversion of what is supposed to be the natural hierarchy. Eamon asks, how can I protect my children from pornography when they are out in school? How do you go about teaching them the dangers of pornography when it is such a powerful temptation? When young kids all have phones in school and actively and easily share content, and when peer pressure to watch is great. Kind of two questions here. First of all, on his own device, you can have blockers for specific websites, easy enough to set up. Make sure you're doing that. For the dangers of pornography, depends what age the kid is, but you can easily find some documentaries outlining this, watch some with him, talk through it, talk about the risks of impotence, talk about the damage on marriages, plenty of statistics on that with divorce too. You can also explain what the natural purpose of sex is, procreation, and how this is important to occur only within the context of the family because children have a right to married parents. So you can get into the Catholic social teaching on natural law and what our bodies actually call us to. So make sure all the basics are in place. I also think it's important to be one step ahead of his peer group. So he should be finding out these things from you. You should be more interesting than his peer group. As far as him, let's say, having his phone all properly blocked and locked down so he can't access it, and then someone else wanting to show it to him, it's not realistic for you to expect to be able to completely eliminate all chance of that. You can help to ensure that he is interacting with families who have similar values to yours, but even that isn't going to stop a kid in the playground walking up to him and saying, hey, look, this. And then he's going to think, oh, what could it be? And then, surprise, surprise, pornography. So if you have armored him against that, and he also has the spiritual armor from confirmation, then you've done all that you can. Personally, I don't think it's realistic to expect he's going to get through his teenage years to his early 20s having been shown zero pornography. The point is, though, that if he is shown it, he can recognize it as dangerous and not be interested in watching more because of the way in which you have inoculated him against it. Doug asks, how to lead a wife to virtue once she becomes awakened to truth. Is now Catholic, wants to be a good wife and mother, but feels overwhelmed as she did not learn any of these skills growing up nor in early adult life. Well, the way to virtue for everyone is by doing. There's no magic way to acquire it except by actually cultivating and practicing those virtues. So this really needs to get to specifics. What are the things that she is struggling with most? She shouldn't feel overwhelmed by the idea of habitually practicing one particular virtue involving concrete actions in her daily life. She might feel overwhelmed by just this abstract concept of just becoming virtuous. So break it down into specific steps and show how she has everything she needs around her, doing her duties as a wife and as a mother, to excel in all these areas where she wants to grow. So it seems like she's trying to conceptualize it mainly as a vast intellectual project rather than a concrete day-to-day practical one. So talk to her about what areas she's looking to grow in, and then show her how those opportunities are all around her. Theo says, I would love to see a video from you answering the question, how must you protect your wife from your kids? Well, this is actually a very straightforward concept. So being a wife, being a mother is really tiring and stressful because kids are very demanding. So one way to protect her from them would be to ensure she has some downtime from them. So it might just be half an hour to go and have a bath or do some exercise or read a book, whatever she likes to do to feel a bit refreshed. So ask her when she's feeling overwhelmed during the day, during the week, and try to build in some of those buffer zones so that she's able to recuperate a little bit. And actually, this will make her a better mother to them than if you aren't protecting her from them in that way. You also need to protect your marriage from your kids too. That sounds counterintuitive, perhaps, but you're not married to your kids. You're married to your wife, and she comes above them in the order of charity. So make sure that you're prioritizing time together. Big mistake that many husbands make is allowing all of that to slide once kids come into the picture, and especially as families get larger. That's going to cause problems for you and problems for your kids too. If you don't put your wife above your kids are going to suffer. So just start with basic ideas about practical stress reduction for her so she's not constantly overstimulated. Vincent asks about the pros and cons of homeschooling versus sending your kids to school. What ages are too young to have them away from mum and dad for several hours? Well, this is largely going to be on a case-by-case basis, depending on you as parents, what your specific situation is, what your support network is around you, the personalities of your kids too. There's no Catholic teaching on whether kids have to be homeschooled or have to be sent to school. The basic principle is that you as the parents are the main moral educators. That applies whether they're homeschooled or whether they go to school outside the home. So you have to do your duty there. But in terms of how you want to learn the range of academic subjects, get the qualifications, etc., either can be fine. And how old is old enough to be away from mum and dad for several hours? Well, what you should think about there is, what's the kid's personality like? For some kids, the age is going to be different from others. So I can't say more about this without really knowing your specific situation, what your experience of your kids is. Both have got pros and cons, and some are going to be a better fit for other kids than others. So this is really one of those questions where, for me to give a responsible answer, I need a lot more information from you. I can tell you the principle at play, which is you're the main moral educator, but that can play out practically in lots of different ways, depending on what your circumstances are. So this kind of question is why we do the coaching, because we need to get into a deeper relationship with you to be able to get all that information to help you make the best decision. Okay, those are the questions for today. If you got any that you'd like to add, just drop them into the comments and then I'll answer those tomorrow. And I also want to give you updates on how our Patriarchy community is progressing. So you can see here that we are on 249 members. This is for any guys who have enjoyed the content, like what we've covered in this video, want to get into a lot more depth and also get more sustained support from me and from other guys in a like-minded community. This is a powerful way for us to reach more people and help to promote the message of patriarchy. It also contributes towards the running costs of this social media project. So short-term goal, we want to get this to 300 members. And when you invite your friend, you get 40% commission on that in perpetuity. So it's a nice way for you to support us while also benefiting from doing that financially yourself as well. So head to patriarchy.com/start if you're interested in supporting. Don't forget to leave a comment on the video, and then I'll get to all those tomorrow. This is a pure engagement channel, so all the content is based on your questions. So I'm covering day by day everything that you want to learn about. So the more comments we get, the more detail we're going to be getting into. Now, make sure that you subscribe, share, hit the notification button, and then let's grow this new channel so we can reach more men and help strengthen families, help strengthen our societies. All right, thanks for watching. Take care. See you tomorrow.